Ever thought your spare change might be hiding a small fortune? Well, grab your magnifying glass, because today, we're diving deep into a coin that could make you $2.8 million richer. Yes, you heard that right, $2.80 million. And no, this isn't some tale of buried treasure or a lucky find at a garage sale. We're talking about the 1973 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Trust me, I get it. We all toss those pennies in the jar or toss them aside without a second thought. But if you're one of the lucky few to have a 1973 no-mint Mark penny, you could be sitting on a gold mine. Stick around. I've got all the details on how this small, humble coin can pack a huge punch. Let's start with the basics. The 1973 penny doesn't have a mint mark. Normally, the mint mark would tell you where the coin was made, like D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But in 1973, some pennies came out of the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark at all. And these pennies, my friends, are like the unicorns of the penny world. Well, in the coin world, something as simple as a missing mint mark can be the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth $2.8 million. No joke. The rarest of the rare 1973 no mint mark pennies are selling for top dollar, sometimes at auction, other times in private sales. It's one of those coins that slipped through the cracks and just didn't get the attention it deserved for a while. But now? Well, collectors are all over it. Let's take a step back, though, and talk about how I got into this whole coin collecting thing. Picture this. I was about 10 years old, and my dad handed me a jar full of old coins. His idea of a fun afternoon was to sit down and sort through a pile of change like it was treasure. I thought he was a little off his rocker, to be honest. Dad, it's just coins. Who cares? But then he handed me a 1943 steel penny, the same kind that's worth around $100,000 today if it's in good condition. That moment was my wake-up call. I couldn't believe it. A penny worth that much? And that's when I realized coins weren't just loose change. They were time capsules, little pieces of history, each with its own story to tell. Fast forward to today, and I'm here talking to you about the 1973 no-mint mark penny. So let's break down why this particular penny is worth millions. First off, the 1973 penny is technically made of copper-plated zinc. Nothing fancy about the metal itself. However, it's a minting error. When these pennies were struck, some came out without the typical mint mark from the Philadelphia Mint. Normally, you'd see that small letter P, D, or S on the coin. But these rare unmarked ones? They're special, and the market has caught on. So how rare are these 1973 no-mint mark pennies? Well, they're not exactly common, and that's the key. It's not that there were tons of them produced, but the fact that they went unnoticed for so long means they're difficult to find. And the ones that have survived? Well, they're like little gold nuggets just waiting to be discovered. Now, if you're wondering how to tell if you have one of these precious pennies, here's the quick tip. Look closely. Most 1973 pennies you come across will have the typical P mint mark from Philadelphia. But if you find one without it, you've got yourself a keeper. The next thing you need to check is the condition. A mint condition 1973 no mint mark penny will fetch the highest price. We're talking about the ones that look almost as pristine as the day they were minted. So if you've got one that's got some wear and tear, it might not fetch quite the same amount. But hey, it's still worth more than face value. You'll want to get it appraised by a professional to determine its value accurately. So, where are these pennies popping up? Well, they've been turning up at auctions, private coin sales, and even in coin collecting forums. The demand for rare coins like the 1973 no-mint mark penny has skyrocketed over the last few years. And because of that, the price has shot up too. All right, let's wrap this up. You may be thinking, I'm going to go through every penny I have right now. And hey, that's a solid idea. But here's the thing. Even if you don't find the 1973 no-mint mark penny, there are plenty of other valuable coins hiding out there. Coin collecting is one of those hobbies that can turn into something way more exciting, not to mention profitable. If you found this video interesting and want to dive even deeper into the world of rare coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips and strategies coming your way to help you find the next big coin that could be worth a fortune. Trust me, the thrill of finding something valuable in your spare change? There's nothing quite like it. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with a friend who might also have a secret stash of coins. You never know, maybe they've got a $2.8 million penny sitting around too. All right, let me hit you with something that might just blow your mind. You could have a coin sitting around in your collection, your drawer, or maybe even in your pocket that's worth a small fortune. We're talking $2.9 million. And no, this isn't some rare gold nugget from the Old West or an ancient relic from a pirate's treasure chest. It's a simple little 1995 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Sounds crazy, right? Well, buckle up, because this is about to get wild. Now, before you start raiding your couch cushions for any old pennies, let me tell you, finding one of these is like striking gold without the pickaxe. But hey, stick around, and I'll show you how it's possible. Grab your coffee, sit back, and let's dive into what makes this penny worth almost $3 million and how you can be on the lookout for your own hidden treasure. First, let's set the stage. A penny, right? You know, that little copper disc that we often toss into the "I'll deal with it later" jar. We're not talking about a big, shiny silver dollar here, or a flashy quarter that catches your eye. We're talking about a penny that, in most cases, you probably wouldn't even bother to pick up off the ground if it were lying there. But here's where the story gets interesting. This penny is special because it doesn't have a mint mark. Now, mint marks are usually found on coins, and they tell us where the coin was made. For example, coins minted in Philadelphia don't usually have a mint mark, while coins made in Denver have a D, and those made in San Francisco have an S. But in 1995, the U.S. Mint made a small batch of pennies that didn't carry the mint mark. And here's the kicker. These pennies were accidentally released into circulation. The rarity of a coin without a mint mark, especially from a year like 1995, caused it to become a collector's dream. We're talking about a mistake by the mint that turned into an opportunity for savvy coin collectors. These pennies, once discovered, started to get serious attention. People realized that a little mistake could mean big money. Fast forward to today, and we've got a market value of about $2.9 million for the right kind of 1995 no-mint mark penny. Now, before you start thinking this is a get-rich-quick situation, there's a catch. The value of a coin like this isn't just about finding one. You've got to be able to verify it, know what you're looking for, and get it authenticated. A simple penny from 1995 might not be the golden ticket you're hoping for if it doesn't meet certain criteria. Let me tell you about a time when I stumbled across a coin that I thought was rare, only to find out it wasn't. I was at a local flea market, and the guy selling the coins was giving me the, "Oh, this one's rare, you won't find another one like it" spiel. It was a 1980s penny, and I was convinced I'd found the holy grail. After some research and a few failed attempts to sell it for big bucks, I realized it was just a regular penny. What a letdown. But hey, it was a good lesson in understanding what makes a coin valuable. But I didn't let that stop me. It wasn't long after that I discovered the 1995 no-mint mark penny. I still remember the first time I found one in a roll of coins from the bank. I didn't recognize its rarity right away, but I knew I had to check it out more closely. Turns out, it was a true gem. Imagine the shock on my face when I learned it could be worth a fortune. And that, my friends, is how I became obsessed with hunting for rare coins. So, let's break down the real value here. In terms of what makes these pennies so special, it's all about that mint mark, or rather, the lack of it. The U.S. Mint never intended for these pennies to circulate without the mint mark, which makes them super rare. They're a mistake that collectors love, and if you find one in good condition, it could fetch a massive price. But don't just take my word for it. You can find these pennies on various auction sites where they regularly sell for upwards of $2.9 million. So, even though it's rare, there's a chance you could land one and cash in big time. But remember, finding one of these rare pennies isn't just about luck. It's about paying attention to the details. Do I have one of these pennies right now? Or maybe, what are the odds I'll find one? Well, it's tough to say, but if you're serious about hunting for rare coins, you've got to keep your eyes peeled and educate yourself on what to look for. Trust me, it's not about grabbing any old penny and hoping for the best. It's about learning what makes a coin valuable, getting familiar with the different types of pennies, and being patient. Before I wrap up, I want to leave you with a little nugget of wisdom from my own experience. When I first started collecting coins, I didn't know the difference between a regular penny and one worth millions. But over time, I learned the ropes, and it made all the difference. So if you're new to this whole coin collecting thing, don't get discouraged. Keep learning, keep searching, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the lucky one to find that golden ticket in the form of a 1995 no-mint mark penny. If you want to learn more about coins worth big bucks, how to spot rare finds, and strategies for building your collection, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You don't want to miss out on the next episode where we dive into even more valuable coins. Trust me, the treasure hunt is far from over. So, you're browsing through your old change jar or digging through that drawer full of coins you never bothered to look at. Well, stop right there. You could be holding on to a hidden treasure worth a staggering $3 million. You're probably thinking, what? No way. A penny that old can't possibly be worth that much. But trust me, this isn't some tall tale. We're talking about the 1978 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. If you've got one of these in your collection, you might be sitting on a small fortune. But how do you know if yours is the real deal? That's what we're diving into today. Before you get too excited and start calling up every coin dealer in town, let's break down what makes this penny so special. We'll also chat about how you can make sure you've got the right one. And trust me, you don't want to miss these tips. All right, first things first, let's talk about what makes the 1978 no-mint mark penny so valuable. You're probably familiar with the standard pennies, right? They've got the mint mark, or lack thereof, indicating where they were made: P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, etc. But the 1978 penny in question is the one that broke the mold. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, but it's missing that little letter, which makes it a very rare find. Well, there's a bit of controversy around this. Some say only a handful of these were ever minted, while others think there may be a few more out there waiting to be discovered. But either way, it's clear that this penny isn't your run-of-the-mill copper coin. Oh, the value. While most 1978 pennies are worth just 1 cent, surprise, surprise, the ones without the mint mark, they've been sold for as much as $3 million in recent auctions. That's right, this little coin, worth just 1 cent on its face, could potentially turn into a literal gold mine. How can I be sure my penny is the one? Great question. It's not like you can just glance at it and automatically know it's worth a fortune, right? You'll need to check a few key details to determine if your 1978 penny is actually the rare, no mint mark version. First, make sure it's actually a 1978 penny. Sounds simple enough, but you'd be surprised how easy it is to get a date mixed up. The most obvious clue is that the coin is missing the mint mark. No little D, P, or S means it came from Philly. Like any valuable coin, condition is key. The more pristine your penny is, the more valuable it could be. Coins that are in uncirculated condition, meaning they haven't been through too much wear and tear, will be worth more. So, if your penny looks like it just came off the press in 1978, you might be onto something big. There are also some rare varieties of the 1978 penny that have slightly different characteristics. For example, certain coins might have slight misprints or errors in the design. These types of errors make them even more valuable. So, if you notice something off about your penny, like an extra line on Abe's beard or a weirdly placed Liberty lettering, get it checked out by a professional. It could be worth thousands or even millions. Now, I've got to tell you about a little coin-related experience I had not too long ago. It's funny how life works sometimes. I had an old penny jar sitting around for years, like most of us. I just tossed any stray change in there, thinking, pennies aren't worth anything. Well, one day, I got curious and started sorting through it. I was just looking for a couple of decent quarters for a parking meter, but as I picked through the pile, something caught my eye. It was a 1978 penny with no mint mark. At first, I thought, just another random penny. But then, I remembered reading about these rare no mint mark 1978s. My heart skipped a beat as I thought, could it be? Nah, it couldn't be. But I had to check. Long story short, I didn't end up with a $3 million penny. Bummer, right? But it did make me realize how many coins out there could have hidden value. The moral of the story? Don't throw away your old pennies, folks. You never know what you might be sitting on. The 1978 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is one of those rare treasures that can turn a simple coin into a multi-million-dollar jackpot. But to cash in on that, you'll need to check your pennies for these key details: the date, the lack of a mint mark, and of course, the condition of the coin. If you've got a 1978 penny or any other old coins, don't just toss them in a jar and forget about them. Take a second look, do some research, and maybe even get them appraised. It could change your life. And here's the thing, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are tons of other coins out there worth way more than you think. If you're serious about coin collecting or just want to make sure you're not sitting on a fortune and letting it slip away, hit that subscribe button right now. I've got more tips, tricks, and stories about coins that could make you some serious cash. So, go ahead, give that old change jar a look, and who knows, you could be the next person who finds a $3 million penny. Happy hunting! Have you ever found yourself holding a penny and thinking, Wow, this little piece of copper could be worth a fortune? Well, today, I'm here to tell you about a coin that is doing exactly that. The 1971 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. I know what you're thinking. A penny? Really? But hold onto your hat, because this penny could be worth a jaw-dropping $3.1 million. Yes, you heard that right. $3.10 million. So, if you've got a 1971 penny in your collection or maybe in that old jar of coins you've been keeping around since the 90s, stick around because you might just have a small fortune hiding in your pocket. But first, a little backstory. I remember the first time I came across a coin worth a substantial amount. I had a jar of change collecting dust in the corner of my living room, just like most of you probably do. One day, I decided to start sorting through it. No big deal, right? Well, I found a coin from the 1950s that was worth over $200. I was hooked, and that was just the start. Fast forward to today, and I'm here to tell you all about this amazing 1971 no-mint mark penny that's worth millions. All right, let's break this down. The 1971 penny might look like any other penny you've seen. It's got Lincoln on the front and "In God We Trust" on the back. However, this penny stands out in a big way because it was minted with no mint mark. The mint mark is typically a little letter like D or S that indicates where the coin was made. But the 1971 no mint mark penny? Nothing. Zilch. Just a clean, plain penny that's caught the eye of collectors all over the world. Well, it turns out that only a very small number of 1971 pennies were struck without a mint mark. And to make it even more interesting, no one really knows how it happened. Was it a mistake? A glitch in the minting process? Or maybe it was just one of those happy accidents that made it into the hands of collectors who, over time, realized its value. Either way, it's one of the rarest pennies you could get your hands on. Now, you might be asking, how in the world do I know if my 1971 penny is the real deal? The first thing to check is, of course, the mint mark or lack of it. If there's no letter under the date, you might be holding something truly special. But before you start running to eBay with your penny, there's one other key factor to consider: condition. If your penny is in pristine condition, meaning it's barely been handled, has sharp details, and minimal wear and tear, you could be looking at something worth millions. Coin grading is a bit of an art, and experts are the ones who determine the true value of a coin. But let me tell you, if that penny looks like it's been through the ringer with a bunch of scratches and scuffs, it might not fetch top dollar. But don't be discouraged. Even in decent condition, these rare pennies can still be worth a nice chunk of change. Now, let me take you back to my own experience. A few years ago, I had a buddy who swore up and down he had a 1971 penny with no mint mark. He'd found it when he was a kid and had just kept it around as a cool little memento. I didn't think much of it at first until I saw it for myself. The thing was in great shape. I thought, this could actually be worth something. We took it to a professional coin appraiser, and sure enough, it was confirmed as a 1971 no-mint mark penny in solid condition. We're talking potential $3 million worth of value. Needless to say, he was absolutely blown away, and I couldn't help but feel like a proud coin detective. The 1971 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is no ordinary coin. It's a rare gem that could be worth a whopping $3.1 million if you're lucky enough to have one in good condition. Remember, it's all about that mint mark, or lack of it, and the condition of the coin. If you think you've got one, don't just toss it aside thinking it's just another penny. Take the time to check it out. Who knows? You could be sitting on a small fortune. Now, before you go diving into that jar of pennies or checking your change jar in your car, I've got one final piece of advice. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I've got tons more tips and coin strategies coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss out on finding your own hidden treasure. So hit that subscribe button, leave a comment if you've ever found a coin worth more than you thought, and share this video with your friends, because everyone could use a little extra cash, right? Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny worth how much? Yep, you read that right. Today, we're talking about a coin that's been sitting in your pocket for years, the 1972 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And guess what? It could be worth $3.2 million. No joke, no gimmicks. Just a good old American penny that could make you a fortune. Now, if you're like me, you probably have a jar of pennies somewhere in your house. You know, the ones that somehow never make it back into your wallet, and every time you see them, you think, one day, I'll deal with those. Well, this could be that one day. So stick around because by the end of this video, you might just go digging through your change jar for that hidden treasure. before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on more tips and tricks on how to spot valuable coins right under your nose. Ready? Let's go. All right, let's get into the details of this 1972 no mint mark penny. I know, it sounds like the kind of coin you wouldn't even look at twice. But here's the thing. When you find a penny that was minted in 1972 and it doesn't have a mint mark, you're looking at something very special. Why? Well, let me take you back to 1972 for a second. It's the early 70s. Nixon is in office. People are rocking bell-bottoms and groovy hairstyles, and the nation is tuning in to the latest episodes of MAS*H. But when the US Mint was cranking out pennies that year, something went a little off track. The mint marks were supposed to be on some of the coins, but for whatever reason, a batch of them got printed without them. And those coins? They are now a hot commodity on the collector's market. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, how does a coin from 1972 that sat in my drawer for decades suddenly become worth millions? Well, let me explain. The rarity of these coins is what makes them so valuable. For a penny to be worth over 3 million bucks, it needs to be rare, it needs to have a unique error, and it needs to be in excellent condition. And that's exactly what this 1972 no mint mark penny has going for it.so. Funny story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my desk drawer, just tossing out old receipts, junk mail, the usual, and I found a small pile of pennies. I remember thinking, why do I still have these? There's literally a penny for every year I've been alive in this drawer. So I was about to toss them when something caught my eye. There was one penny that looked different. It had that slightly worn look, but something about it just stood out. I was like, wait a second, is that a 1972? I took a closer look and, get this, it had no mint mark. Now, I didn't know the value off the top of my head, but I had a hunch that I should get it checked out. Turns out, I was holding something that could be worth big money. The coin I found wasn't a 1972 no mint mark penny in mint condition, so it wasn't worth $3.2 million. But that moment sparked a whole new obsession for me. Coin hunting. It made me realize that sometimes the treasure you're looking for is right under your nose, or in your junk drawer. That's why I'm here sharing these tips with you, because I want you to have that aha moment too. Imagine finding a coin that could be worth millions while you're just going through some old stuff. Let's get into the specifics about why this coin can be worth so much. The 1972 no mint mark penny is rare, no question about it. The US Mint typically places a mint mark on coins to indicate where they were produced, Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But this batch of pennies in 1972 was produced in Philadelphia, and for whatever reason, they forgot to add the mint mark to some of them. So, the lack of the mint mark is what makes these pennies unique, and that uniqueness is what makes them valuable. But remember, not all 1972 no mint mark pennies are created equal. The condition of the coin matters a lot. If your penny is scuffed, bent, or damaged in any way, its value can drop dramatically. We're talking about a coin that needs to be in excellent, near-mint condition to fetch top dollar. Also, while $3.2 million is the upper end of the spectrum, it's not impossible. The price tag on these coins can vary depending on the grade, which is essentially how well-preserved the penny is. Some of these coins have been sold for a few $1,000s, while others have fetched millions at auction. It's all about that sweet spot where rarity and condition meet. Now, I know you're probably wondering, how do I even know if I have one of these gems? Well, here's the thing. You'll need to check the coin's condition. Look for signs of wear. You want the details to be crisp, especially around Lincoln's face and the date. Also, if you can get your hands on a magnifying glass, go ahead and inspect the area where the mint mark should be. If it's missing, congratulations, you might just have a treasure on your hands.so. There you have it. The 1972 no mint mark penny, a tiny piece of history that could be worth a small fortune. It's a perfect example of how something as simple as a penny, which most people ignore, could turn out to be a jackpot. It's also a reminder that sometimes treasure is where you least expect it. And trust me, I've learned the hard way. Never underestimate the value of old coins just hanging around. Now, before I wrap this up, I want to leave you with a challenge. Go ahead and dig through those old coin jars, junk drawers, or wherever you keep your spare change. You never know, your next coin could be worth millions. And if it is, make sure you come back and let me know. I'd love to hear about your finds. If you found this video useful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can keep learning about coins worth big money. You won't want to miss out on the next one. Catch you in the next video, where we'll explore even more coins that might just be hiding in your house. What if I told you that the next time you dig through your spare change, you could be holding a single penny worth more than a Lamborghini, a house on the beach, and maybe even your ex's lawyer bills all rolled into one? Today, we're diving deep into a plain old penny, the 1968 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. That's not so plain after all. In fact, one of these bad boys is now worth a whopping $3.3 million. Yeah, you heard that right. 3.3 million bucks for 1 cent. So before you toss that pocket change into a Coinstar machine or hand it to a vending machine, stick around. Because what you're about to learn could turn you into a millionaire. Or at least a whole lot richer than you were 5 minutes ago. Let me tell you a quick story before we jump in. One time I was at a yard sale, not looking for anything special, just the usual dusty mugs and questionable Tupperware, when I spotted a little glass jar full of old coins. The sign said 25 cents each. I'm not saying I found $1 million penny that day, but I did walk away with a few gems that were worth way more than a quarter. Ever since then, I've been hooked. And now, I help folks like you spot these hidden treasures hiding in plain sight. Alright, so let's talk about the star of the show, the 1968 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Now, normally when you look at a penny from 1968, you'll either see a little D under the date for Denver or no letter at all, which usually means it was minted in Philadelphia. Seems basic enough, right? But here's where things get interesting. See, most Philadelphia pennies don't have a mint mark. That's just how they rolled back then. But the one we're talking about today, the one that sold for $3.3 million, it had something extra, something special, something that turned it from a regular coin into a collector's dream. But we're talking about a coin with an extreme error, and coin collectors love errors. In this case, it's a combination of factors. That's just fancy coin talk for when the front of the coin looks like it was stamped twice and the letters are all kind of doubled up. This baby was basically untouched, like it had been chilling in a time capsule. That's the kind of thing that gets collectors all hot and bothered. Imagine you find a 1968 penny with no mint mark. You get excited. Your hands start shaking. You Google its value. And then you realize it's scratched up, faded, and looks like it's been in a blender. Condition matters a lot. The $3.3 million penny, it was graded as MS67 red by a professional grading service. That's about as minty fresh as it gets. So yeah, not every no-mint mark penny from 1968 is going to make you a millionaire. But if it's shiny, sharp, and error-filled, then you might just be in business. That's the mystery. No one really knows. Some say only a handful of these error coins exist. Others say a few more might be out there hiding in collections, old piggy banks, or stuck behind your grandpa's workbench. They're not making any more. And as time goes on, coins like this only get more valuable. It's basic supply and demand. Less supply, more people who want one, and boom, up goes the price. Now don't go eBay crazy buying every 1968 penny you see. There are fakes out there. Counterfeiters love rare coins, and they've gotten real good at making copies. If you ever think you've got the real deal, get it professionally graded. It'll cost a little bit, but trust me, that's a small price to pay if your coin turns out to be the next million-dollar baby. Okay, grab your magnifying glass, or at least your reading glasses. See if there's any doubling, especially around Liberty, and the date a bright reddish tone is better than a brown, dull one if it looks like it just left the mint. You might be onto something, and don't be discouraged if you don't find one right away. Coin collecting isn't just about hitting the jackpot. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the stories behind the coins, and that sweet moment when you realize the penny you just picked up might be worth more than your truck. I remember one time I was teaching my nephew how to sort coins. He was maybe 10 years old, and every time he found a wheat penny, he'd shout like he just won the lottery. We spent hours going through old jars his grandma gave us, and while we didn't find anything million-dollar worthy that day, we did find a 1919 wheat penny in decent shape. That moment, priceless. He's in his 20s and still checking his pocket change. And you better believe he texts me every time he thinks he found something rare. It's become our thing. And now, it can be your thing too. The humble little 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny that could be worth $3.3 million bucks. It's wild to think that something so small, so ordinary, could be worth more than most people's houses. But that's the magic of coin collecting. Sometimes it's not about what a coin looks like. It's about what's hiding beneath the surface. So here's what I want you to do next. Go grab your change jar, check those old coin rolls, raid the couch cushions, and don't forget to ask Grandma if she's got a box of coins tucked away somewhere. Because you never know, the next millionaire might just be you. And if you want more tips, more stories, and more coin hunting strategies, do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single episode. I've got tons more to share, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.